This is David Sable bringing you Creative from the Other Side, and today we are going to speak with Peter Yarrow of Peter, Paul, and Mary. And the stage that I'm standing on right now is a recreation of the stage of The Bitter End, where they first performed in 1961. We're going to talk to Peter about what inspired them, what inspired him, how they wrote the songs, how they created the melodies, and we will finally learn the secret of Puff the Magic Dragon. Stick around. I want to move back to your beginnings. I want to talk about your beginnings. So, Peter Yarrow,
Yeah,
parents are from the Ukraine. They come to America
that's right. At the turn of the century.
at the turn of the century. Your father leaves you when you're 5. You talked about that a little bit.
Right.
You go to music and art.
Yeah. The High School of Music and
The
Art.
High School of Music and Art.
Which is the one of the two famed schools.
Yeah.
That was, I'll tell you a secret. Again, don't tell anybody this. What I lived when I was in my 4 years of high school, which also Milton Glaser,
Right, who you
who's the
introduced me
great
to.
designer, was a model of what the world might be. And why was it like that? And what was it like that made it different? Because we were suffused in the act of the real deal of creating. We didn't do it for money. We did it for the pure joy of being in touch with our internal selves. And you'd go to a party when I was in high school, and in one room they'd be playing string quartet. These are students, right? Another room they'd be discussing philosophy and, Marxism and democracy and whatever. And the third room they'd be singing folk songs, and the last room they'd be making out. They'd be necking. That's all we did then, but we did a lot of that, and it was very satisfying. So what we had was the conjunction of the creative life, the social life, the political, the academic, and the experimentation. And where did we go on the weekend? We would meet, if I was an art student, because a lot of the kids were artists, singers, and everything. We'd meet at the Metropolitan Museum of Art. We'd take our art pads. We'd go and, sketch a statue, and then we'd go to a party, and I just told you what happened. That experience is what I'm trying to recreate in the world.
And yet, you studied physics.
When I went to Cornell.
And then you go to Cornell and you studied physics, which you didn't finish. You got your degree in psychology.
Right. Well, this is how it happened. My mother, being very astute, because when the divorce occurred, which was in those years, look, this is 1943. You couldn't get a divorce in New York. You had to go to Nevada, established residence, and there it was the mother had what we would then call a nervous breakdown. And that scared the hell out of me, as it would any child. But my mother, being very astute when we came back to New York, put me in a group of art therapy with one of the pioneers called Florence Kane. And I would go there, and there were some kids with, this physical challenge. And she did, what did she do? She puts me in a closet. It was one of the things, and she says, "No, I want you to chant. Oh, oh, and shortly, an image will come to you." And then she had a black piece of paper and said, "Now, paint that image." So what was inside me was a direct line to something that I was creating. And that became my salvation. So I'm in High School of Music and Art. I'm really, doing really, really well in music and art, which is at that point, third or fourth highest academic school, although there are no academic tests to get in, which says something about the creative pulse and how it affects people to realize themselves. And my mother says, "Well, I want you to go and meet with this sculptor and show him your work and ask what you should do." And the sculptor, I forget who, it may have been Rozak, I'm not sure, says to me, "Peter, I would go to college. You need to go to college because not to learn a trade, but to let yourself acquire the kind of maturation that will give you something to say and learn how to say it. It's going to be it'll be the foundation. Don't think about doing what you're doing in college later in life. And because you got the physics prize at music and art was not a school, it was just my music and art. He said, I think you might be interested in design, industrial design. And I thought about going to Ulm, which was the revival of the Bauhaus, but I didn't. I went to Cornell, and I studied physics. And in my third semester, I came to the absolute conclusion that I would never be a decent, even remotely competent physicist. But what I had become enamored of was a person by the name of Yuri Bronfenbrenner, who was one of the people that designed and created Head Start, when there was an awareness in America that we were way behind the Russians. Bronfenbrenner was also from Russia, Ukraine, and he was the founder of human ecology, and he was brilliant. And I took his class, and I was in love with the way he thought. And he became my mentor, and I taught his kids how to play the guitar.
But you also took a folk singing class.
I taught as an undergraduate in the folk singing class.
So you taught there. Oh, I thought you just took. It's great. So you taught in that class. So now you've taken the psychology.
Right.
You've taken your now starting to perform, which you hadn't done quite in the same way. Right. And now we move into, let's say, 1959 or so.
It is 1959. I am a senior, and I have the only undergraduate instructorship on the campus. And what do we do? On Tuesdays and Thursdays and Saturdays, we get together. And what I do on Tuesdays and Saturdays, I sing certain songs that he has given me to present to the class. And then they discuss the roots and the how they evolved. And then they discuss the nature of the folk process. You know, how does it evolve, and how does it change, and what's real and what's. Then on Saturday, it's the only class in the whole university where they don't have a class on Saturday. They only have a sing-along. And the person who is in my position leads the sing-along. So I get up there, and for God's sakes, I'm singing, I don't know Blowing in the Wind. I haven't ever heard it. Bob Dylan hasn't written it, for goodness sakes. But I know a song like this. It says, so only say that you'll be mine, and in no other's arms entwined, down beside where the waters flow, down by the banks of the Ohio. I drew my knife across her breast, as in my arms, she gently pressed, crying, Willie, oh Willie, don't you murder me, I'm unprepared for eternity. Now this is a Southern Mountain murder ballad. And it has nothing to do with anything that people could say, is an anthem of togetherness or unanimity of spirit or political direction. But when these kids, these Cornellians, remember in 1959, just absolutely prejudiced in the extreme against anybody black, The Jewish-Christian divide was extraordinary. When you went into the Ivy Room in the student union and went to the Jewish side, or the, quote, white side, the language tells you a little bit, where women, there were approximately four men, not exactly, 3.719 men to one co-ed. They're looked upon as the purveyors of romantic exchange, not as full human beings at all. So it's misogynist, it's everything, and I hate it because that wasn't the case in music and art, and I saw how it. So I go to this psychologist there. His name is Dr. John Summerskill, and I say, I hate this school. I'm a freshman at that time. And I hate being here. They don't believe in anything in it. This is a sick world, you know? He said, you know, Peter, you're right. But I know you're going to stay here because you're going to get a very good education. And I think this will empower you to do the things you want to do to make the world closer to your ideal. So here I am, a senior, and I'm up in front of these, and something happens. These kids that I cannot abide, who are in fraternities and they've got money and they measure each other's value in this way, and they're all singing. So only say that you'll be mine. And all of a sudden they get it. They get it that there's something in their hearts that has been stirred and that brings them together emotionally. They are virtually loving each other by singing together and listening to each other. And the sound was extraordinary. And I said, you know something? I see these are not the people I thought they were. This music is transformational. I know what I'm going to do. And I told my friends, that's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to take a job in market research with my experimental psychology degree. I'm going to go to Greenwich Village.
When you could have been in our business had you done that.
I could have done
And we
it.
would have done this the opposite way.
Well, that's what I say. In our next life, you be the folk singer, and I'll be the ad agency guru.
I'm in there. I'm with you.
You're with me. I'm with each other. So what I learned there is what I am still doing. I'm doing it right here in this room. I am saying that I have a medium that when it is shared, all of a sudden abolishes the frivolity and the mean-spiritedness of our lives and allows us to participate internally, if we're singing even more so, in the kind of communality that is the imperative that we'll recreate if we're going to get out of this mess.